So I think it's time to start. Clara, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all to AYPG online webinar. Today is Sunday afternoon, and I'm so grateful to have you all here. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Long Lee Huong. You guys can call me Long, and I'm from Cambodia, representing the Asian Young Pharmacists Group. And today, I am a moderator of this webinar. And actually, I don't come alone. We also have another co-moderator. It is Clara. Clara, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clara from Vietnam, and I am the representative from International Pharmaceutical Student Federation in Asia Pacific Regional, which is shortly called IPLF. So I'll just continue. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Clara. Today is an occasional day that AYPG has launched another online webinar featuring the professional career path in industrial and academic pharmacies. And we have 5 respective speakers who have years experiences in the industrial and academic setting. They all have a pharmacist background and with a pharmacist heart. So I hope you will enjoy this and find it beneficial. Before officially starting the webinar, there is a few things I hope you will follow during the webinar. That is our ground rules. First, once you enter the room, your screen sharing, audio and video will be automatically switched off. And the second, if comfortable for you, please state your full name when you post any question or raise any comment in the chat box. And the last one, please refer to the QA function for any question you may have during the section. Hold it and wait for until the last session because some of the questions will be answered by our speaker. The next slide, please. So this is our agenda. Clara, we have more.
Okay, before sharing about the agenda of webinar, just feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box with everyone. So for today's webinar, we have divided it into 5 sessions presented by 5 speakers from 5 different countries: Indonesia, Singapore, Taiwan, the Philippines, and Malaysia, who have years experience in industrials and academic fields. So let's proceed the first item. Allow me to introduce Ami Guang. She is an AYPG secretary, and she will give an introduction about AYPG. So Ami, the stage is yours.
Hello everyone, I am Amy from Taiwan, currently Secretary of AYPG. So Asian Young Pharmacists Group, we are a non-governmental and independent organization that represents young pharmacists all over Asia Pacific. We aim to promote the role of young pharmacists in the region and prepare them to contribute significantly in their respected country and in the region. So currently we have 10 member organizations, including Indonesia, Taiwan, Malaysia, Philippines, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, Cambodia, and Thailand. For more information and our activities, please visit our website at asianypg.org. And also follow our Facebook and Instagram by searching Asian YPG. So we are looking forward to having more interactions with all of you young pharmacists around Asian countries. Hope you enjoy today's session. Thank you.
Long, I think you need to unmute your microphone first.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Ami. Thank you for giving a wonderful introduction of AYPG. And then we have a representative from MIM, Calvin Ben Lawrence, advisor of MIM. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for your kind attendance for this session of AYPG MIMS online forum. As most of you may be aware of, MIMS is actually the leading multi-channel provider of trusted and quality medical information, medical education, and knowledge services connecting healthcare communities in Asia Pacific. Next. So as many of you may be aware of, MIMS has been founded since 1963, so we have been around for more than 50 years, and to date, we are present in 17 countries, spanning all the way from New Zealand all the way to Ireland in Europe. So next. As you may be aware of, MIMS is supporting healthcare community in terms of health and medicines information. We are also supporting hospitals and healthcare institutions in terms of references and clinical decision support system, meaning drug interaction information and all the hospital information system support. We are also supporting healthcare professionals for career opportunities beyond borders. We have been relocating some healthcare professionals from Malaysia all the way to United Arab Emirates and also the Middle East. Moving on, next. So at a glance, you can see that more than 20,000 healthcare institutions have trusted MIMS to be their partner for a clinical decision support system, meaning a lot of the health drug interaction information in all these healthcare institutions are relying on MIMS, powered by MIMS. Noteworthy is that in Malaysia, the whole of Malaysia's public healthcare information system is running on MIMS as the drug information partner. Okay, next. Before that, last page previously. Okay, I'll be sharing a bit more about our MIMS apps so that you can have a better understanding about how our apps is working. Okay, you can download our apps. It's free of charge. You can get all the latest informations, and then of course you can go into the diseases, and then you can have a lot of diseases. And if you were to go into a simple one like diabetes, okay, diabetes mellitus, okay, you can see a lot of this information readily available. You can see treatment guidelines, okay, latest ones, okay. And then you see have the treatment, what are the treatments, what are the diagnoses, how do you diagnose the patients, diabetes patients. And of course, because MIMS is present in so many countries, a lot of the drug information, all the drug information are specific to the country. Okay, if you look at this drug information, because my app is Singapore app, so all the drugs registered in Singapore should already be MIMS. If you are from Indonesia, your apps will only show you drugs only in Indonesia, so on and so forth. So if you have to look into it, you have the indication, the manufacturers, etc. Okay. And of course, not forgetting, as a pharmacist, the most important function for MIMS is actually in the patient education. You can teach the patients what you should take note of, diabetes, self-management, etc. Okay. And also, last but not least, you can have the references, yeah, because this is actually supported by healthcare professionals. Okay. And then, of course, the news and the CMEs. Okay. Last but not least, and then you have the calculator function where you can actually calculate certain information, certain calculators like creatinine clearance. All these informations are all readily available. So thank you. And let's move on to the IPSF team's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for that presentation of MIM. The importance and helpfulness of MIM in healthcare information system. So now let's hear from Clara. She has something to share about IPSF approved. Clara, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So this is me, Clara, again. So I am proudly here to represent for IPSF Appro to introduce our federation to all of you. IPSF, or International Pharmaceutical Student Federation, is a leading international advocacy organization for pharmaceutical students and recent graduates, promoting improved public health through a provision of information, education, networking, and a range of publication and professional initiatives. Next. So we are a global federation. So you can see on the map that we have totally 5 regional offices that directed by the regional working groups with IPF Executive Committee, IPARO, APRO, Euro, EMPRO, and APRO is our regions. Next. So APRO or Asia Pacific Regional Office, founded in 1999. So APRO is the oldest IPLF regional office, and in 2001, the first IPPS was held in Singapore, and this year we will have APRO IPPS in Manila, Philippines. So APRO have totally 18 countries and 28 organization members, and we represent for 70,000 members in total. And next. So if you're interested in IPLF and IPLF APRO, just follow our social media to get more information and get more in the member organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Clara, for a brief presentation of IPSF approved. I hope our attendee will find it well, and if you are interested in either AYPG or MIMS or IPF and wish to know more about them, you are welcome to drop any question in the chat box. So before going to hear from our first speaker, I would like to point out that AYPG has 3 consecutive sessions in What's Next for You. The first one was about clinical and community pharmacies, which was held last month on 25th. And today, here we comes to the second part, which mainly focus on industrial and academic pharmacies. And the next one, the third one will be on 5th September with many interesting speakers. So please stay tuned. And Clara.
So it's time to introduce our first respected speaker, who is enthusiastic about sharing her speech. Her name is Andri from Indonesia. She has great experience in industrial pharmacy. Andri worked as a strategic planning officer and strategic planning manager for 5 years. And she is a former president of IPLF and president and founder of Indonesia Young Pharmacist Group. And currently, she is the president of AYPG. So can we ask you to the floor, Andri, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Clara, for the introduction. Good afternoon, fellow young pharmacists and future pharmacists all over Asia Pacific. It is a pleasure for me to be here to share with you about my life and my career path. As you all know, I'm currently the president of this AYPG, but not only that I lead this organization, but I'm also the managing director of Imetco Jaya. So this is Imetco Jaya is an innovative Indonesian pharmaceutical company. And I established the company together with my husband in 2014. And in this opportunity, I would like to share a little bit about why and how I chose this path. Next. So before I continue, I want to start with what pharmacist was long ago. In ancient history, everywhere around the world, we know that when they got sick, they went to healers. So they diagnose and also prepare the medicinal herbs to be taken by the sick people. But as diseases were getting more complicated and more medicinal preparations need to be prepared, the expertise were also separated into 2 professions, which we know now as doctors or physicians and also pharmacists. Next. Why I wanted to mention that, because this is the reason of why I want to share, why I wanted to be a pharmacist. Well, we all know, especially in Indonesia, that our other health profession, the doctors, they are more well-known and also more respected in the country. But as I mentioned earlier, that doctors without pharmacists that prepare the medicine will mean nothing to the sick people. because you cannot diagnose your disease, but then you don't have any medicine to use. It's all nothing. So we see it clearly that doctors cannot work alone. And I can say that clearly because my dad is also a pharmacist. Very interestingly, when I grew up, almost all doctors in my hometown will always call my dad, even in the middle of night, to consult what kind of medicine would be best given to the patients. So realizing from that, I realized that healthcare is nothing without pharmacists. So that's why I chose to be a pharmacist instead of the other profession. And I want to do something, even though it's not clearly seen, but it's something that for me, it's very important. This is my story. Next. Next. So, as some of you are also members and active members of IPSF, I also want to share a little bit when I became a pharmaceutical student. I wanted to learn and show that this profession is very important because of what I shared before, why I wanted to be a pharmacist. So I learned from my dad about pharmacists in other countries. And as he was also an active member of FYP at the time, so I was so excited to learn that I told everyone I wanted to join the FYP Congress in Australia. The rumor about me spread quickly, and my senior, who was involved in IPSF April, heard about it. At the time, IPSF April was just established, and at the time, I know nothing about IPSF too, and nobody knows anything about IPSF. So my senior went to the first APPS in Singapore that was mentioned previously by Clara, and she shared her story about IPSF. However, when she shared that Indonesia was not actually a member of IPSF at that time, she was very sad. And with that, I told her I wanted to continue what she has started and follow her path to know more about IPSF. That year, I wanted to join IPPS. But just like this year, it was suspended due to SARS. So I had to wait another year to join the symposium. It was then in Thailand in 2004. Then I got infected with IPSF virus. And I fell in love so deeply with IPSF. So when I got back to Indonesia, I told them that the ITB, where I studied, to be a member of IPSF. At that time, many people were against the idea and said that only the wealthy can join IPSF event because you have to travel abroad. So then I told them, without thinking further, I said, let me bring APPS to Indonesia. So the picture on the right, on top, is the picture when ITB asked to be a member of IPSF in Canada, in Halifax. And then the picture down there is during the APPS in Indonesia. So when I said, let me bring APPS to Indonesia, I and my friends finally made it. So during the IPSF Congress in Canada, we became member of IPSF and also officially elected as the host of 5th APPS later, 2 years later in 2006. Well, the APPS was very successful and even was called legendary. So we managed to bring an innovative idea where we conducted health campaign during the event, which was covered by TV and radio. I believe that the campaign idea is still continued until the APPS today. So the success in APPS was then brought me to another step where many IPSF executives at that time were supporting me to run as IPSF president. Next. So yeah, so then I was elected as IPSF president in 2006, and I became the president from 2006 to 2007. So as you see here from the pictures here, I joined many international meetings that was in New York, in UN, picture on the left, and then I also had chance to go to Nepal and see Mount Everest. So the picture behind me was in Mount Everest, and then I had meeting, I lead the whole IPSF executive members and also had the Congress in Taiwan, and then also joined the World Health Assembly in Geneva. So during that time, I had the opportunity to liaise with many international organizations, including WHO, UNESCO, UN, and many more. And this IPSF was my encounter to see the open and wide pharmaceutical world. And leading a team that is coming from different countries, regions, and across the world, I have learned valuable lessons. So IPSF taught me lessons that I cannot get from my classes. Soft skills, organizational skills, and most importantly, developing my characters to overcome challenges. These are the basic skills that differentiate me and make me excel in my career path. Next. So after I finished my presidency in IPSF and became a pharmacist, I had to choose what path I wanted to take. Since I was involved with a lot of international organizations, I got offered to work with them and also work in multinational companies. But then I look at myself and ask, what do I want to do? And in the end, I came back with my value. At that time, my family was facing difficulty, so working abroad was not an option for me. And from all the offers I have, then I value opportunity more than position and money. I was then looking to a local pharmaceutical company in Indonesia, whose leader had become an inspiration to me. I joined his company, even though the offer was not the best offer compared to other companies or opportunities. But for me, my value is not in numbers. So when I joined the company, I joined just like other fresh graduates. I took the business development department, but as soon as I worked there, they can see a difference. So like is like. So then within 3 months, I got promoted to establish and lead a new division. So I meet the division and then also recruit other people to work for me. So please, fellow young pharmacists and future pharmacists here, value yourself more and choose a working place where you can grow, and not because of the size or the name of the company, but what you see in the company and how you can grow in the company. So from my experience, when I was in that company, I got a chance to learn from A to Z, which then became a modality for me for my next opportunity, establishing a pharmaceutical company. Next. So with me giving all out when I worked there, I was very fortunate to be able to learn about managing production facility, including its quality and supply chain, managing R&D. So even from the idea and doing the molecular study, during the preclinical until the clinical study, and also have it marketed. So I also managed that as a strategic planning. And then I also helped to prepare regulatory dossier for submission to various FDA, not only in Indonesia, but also in other countries. And also I managed to conduct clinical trials because we also do several research. So we need to do clinical trials. We also did bioequivalency study and many other studies. So I had a lot of chance to learn about medical and how to manage medical field, which later you will hear more from Dr. Fong. And also supporting marketing and sales. So you see here from my slides here, in pharmaceutical industry, there are many departments where you can get involved in. And whatever your background is, whatever your type of personality or characters, there are many places for you to fit in. From R&D, procurement. Procurement is here very important because you need to get good quality of raw materials before you can have good products later on. And of course, then there's a lot of strategic thinking. There's a lot of planning there in the procurement. Medical is very important, not only doing the clinical trials like that, but medical is also important because we do pharmacovigilance study as well. We will hear more later on. And then production, I'm not going to say more about production. We know it's about producing the medicine itself. And quality is very important because quality is not based on just checking on the quality after we produce, but we need to assure the quality from the beginning. Before we do anything, we have to check the quality and prepare that the product that we produce will have a good quality. So what we call now is quality by design. Everything has to be designed from the very beginning. Even you can be in the quality control, quality assurance, or whichever other department, quality is very important. And then regulatory is very important as well. Whatever you do, you need to get the marketing authorization. And without marketing authorization, there's nothing that we can produce, there's nothing we can sell. There's nothing we can do to support the community. And there we need to learn what is the dossier, what are the information that we need to submit to the FDA. We will hear more from Tracy later on. And then next is marketing and sales. Of course, after we produce everything, we need to market our products. And then the last part, business development. It's very important as well to see what are the products needed in the next few years, because you cannot see what are the products that needed now, because to have a product ready in the market, we need several years before we can submit it to the regulatory and have the marketing authorization. So the industry is very wide and you can do a lot of things that suits your personality there. So next. With that experience, in 2014, I got an opportunity which I called bringing Lazarus back to life. So basically, I took over a company which not really between life and death, I can say. It's not really active, but then we took over the company. That's why I said bringing Lazarus back to life. The company was not profitable at the time. And then just when I joined the company, I and my husband had to take the biggest decision, because when we see the facility, it looks good in the beginning. Once we were there, then we just realized that we had to close the facility and build it from scratch to meet the standard quality that we want. So just when we are ready to enter the market, the situation was already not good, because we need about a year to rebuild the facility. And then when we are ready to enter, then because of the universal health coverage, the price of the medicine went down very significantly. So we needed to shift our plan and strategy. So what we faced in Medco was not really a smooth and easy journey. We struggled a lot in the beginning, but with perseverance and faith that we want to do our best for the patients, we managed to survive. Value is within yourself. So it's very important for us to understand that. Because why? Quality in reality sometimes is different. So that's something that I really faced a few years back. Next. So again, as I told you, the perseverance and faith were the keys to stay on track, especially when you become entrepreneur. When you do something new, you need to know who you are, and you need to keep strong in what you believe. And I said before, value is within yourself. You have to keep doing it no matter what people say, and never give up even when you want to. And today, people have started to notice that what we have been doing. And Medco today is now known as a new pharma company that brings valuable and unique products needed by the community. Now, many products are the first products available in Indonesia. And where many other companies struggle to register the products, we in Medco successfully registered the product, and those products I can say I'm very proud of. It has helped a lot of people, especially those who has problem with the access to those medicine, because usually they need to go abroad and they need to get the medicines. Now the medicines are available, and then it's also helpful for the COVID-19 pandemic. So you can see here on the picture some of our products, and we are very happy with that. So I hope you can see that wherever company you choose and whichever position you get, whichever department you are in, you can excel. And the key to excel is always within yourself. And next. Okay. And please do not forget that it's very important to be active in your local YPG, the Young Pharmacist Group, and also in AYPG, because this is also a place for you to grow and build yourself up. I'm very thankful to have my family here in AYPG who has been very supportive to me, who has been giving me a lot of motivations and also helped me to think out of the box. So I hope that all of the participants here, you can be active in YPG and AYPG. And as I believe that will support your career, whichever field or path you take. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Audrey, for such an informative sharing. And she has shared her passion, her struggling, and success in pharmacy profession. This is so inspiring for our attendees who are interested in pharmaceutical industry. And last word, knowledge, experience, and opportunity are essential components to get success. Next, we have another speaker from Singapore. Her name is Tracy Chen. Tracy is currently a Singapore licensed pharmacist with 10 years of regional and local work experience in regulatory affairs, quality assurance, and pharmacovigilance. She is awarded industry pharmacist and of the year in 2019 by Pharmaceutical Society of Singapore. She is the president-elect of AYPG. So, Tracy, are you ready to share your story with us? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my slides? Can you see my slides?
Casey, can you share your screen? Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Are you able to see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now it's on to my turn after Audrey has kindly shared about her experience. So today I will like to share with the 375 participants a little more about my regulatory affairs, quality assurance, and pharmacovigilance journey in the past 10 years of my career. In general, you can see here just a little snapshot of this is a snapshot of my life since I graduated in 2009 from NUS. I did my training as mentioned in KK, and very quickly on, after I got my license, I knew I wanted to enter the pharmaceutical industry because the clinical and retail setting was not what I was interested in. So I was very fortunate to land a position in a local distribution pharmaceutical company called Polymedic, where I was the RA pharmacist. I spent about 1 year there and realized I wanted to gain more multinational experience. So was also very fortunate to be offered a role in the United Parcel Service Healthcare Logistics team. UPS, as everyone knows, I was the Asia Pacific QA and Compliance Assistant Manager there. So part of the Asia Pacific pilot team to set up quality systems in the Asia Pacific warehouses and temperature freight routes. So I'll show you some pictures later on what I did there. Along the way, I also realized after 2 years that I needed to gain experience in a product license owner company. So for those who may not know what it means by a product license owner company, these companies own the brands that they market. So they do not distribute only, they have the licensing responsibility, marketing responsibility as well. So they are totally responsible for the brands and they manufacture the product as well. So that's how I landed in Galderma from 2013 until today. So what has happened since 2013 until today is Galderma has gone through many restructuring. There has been a lot of logo changes, but as you can see here, I've always been in the RA, QA, and PD arena as well, because this is actually where my passion lies, and I believe I will continue on in this journey for the rest of my career. Okay. Along the way, as what Audrey has shared, I have never failed to join on the side a society. Really, it helps to hone my personal development, and it's also honing my leadership skills as well. So I'm very happy to also receive last year the Industry Pharmacist of the Year award as well, and other leadership team experiences did come, leaders and projects did come along my way too. Okay, so I think everybody now is more interested in where does RA play a part in the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, so just in a very, very nutshell, and this picture should clearly state, RA is actually the company's ambassador to the health authority. So we are not in marketing. We don't need to market products. We don't need to market a brand to the consumer, but you are actually representing your company when you file a dossier or when you try to get an approval for a new drug, a new cosmetic, or a new medical device. So I always share with people, as much as you are not selling a product, you are actually trying to ensure to get the buy-in of the local health authority to grant you approval, right? So at the end of the day, you are still representing your company. So the need for you to give off a good impression, the need for you to organize your files very, very clearly is pertinent. Okay. Where does regulatory also play a part in the pharmaceutical industry? As you can see from here, RA is not only at the end of the journey of making a medicine, because what we are used to is just here in the FDA registration part and towards post-marketing activities as well. Actually, RA is very involved in the pre-marketing phase, be it in the clinical data analysis, be it during the studies, and even in the synthesis of compounds in the manufacturing phase. Okay, so RA in general is a vital factor for success of any drug development program. All right. When I started off in my journey, and I presented this some slides to my team as well, who are not in RA, the marketing team, my boss, you know, during our leadership meetings and during our company's meetings. We are very much have a vision, and it is a yin and yang kind of vision. Why? Okay, we need to drive market access, okay, for the company, but at the same time, you need to do it in a very safe and legal and compliant manner. So you need to find that balance, right? Because at the end of the day, you are working for a profit and loss company. Okay, you cannot be the Ministry of No. You need to make sure things get approved, right? So also you need to think there are patients, there are consumers, and at the end of the day, your boss will be telling you, I need to be a business driver, right? So if you think about it, your mindset needs to be very balanced. That's why it's called yin and yang. All right. So I feel that as you go along your RA journey or your QA and PV journey, and as you progress along your career, you need to think very strategically already. So there are things that what I have been reminding myself, as well as the juniors that have come my way. Okay, now just a snapshot. We view, depending on whether you are in a local setting, a regional setting, or a global setting, I just want to share in Asia Pacific, these are the health authorities that we deal with. Okay, so for the benefit of, I think most of the people here are in Southeast Asia, with the exception of our Japan, Korea, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan friends. Okay, these are the health authorities that myself and my team deal with on a daily basis. Okay, we also interact a lot with regional associations, because regional associations work together with the health authorities and with pharmaceutical companies to come up with guidelines. Okay, so I've had the opportunity to interact and expose myself to all these people. Okay, I'd like to share with you, because everybody has this, depending on individuals, especially those who are just starting out in the career, they think that RA, QA, and PV is only for drugs. Okay, the answer is no. Okay, yes, a big portion of regulatory affairs is involved in submitting pharmaceutical drug dossiers, but okay, regulatory affairs, quality assurance, and PV is also needed in the submission of and registration of cosmetics, as well as medical devices. Okay, aside from all this, I do not share here today because we have 10 minutes per speaker, but I also like to share with you that if you are in the RA, QA, and PV arena, you do need to have product oversight over health supplements, traditional medicines, Chinese proprietary medicines, etc., etc. Okay, you can see here, even with the FDA Philippine website, okay, things like stuff that are linked to radiation health, food, cosmetic and toys, RA, QA, and PV do have a place to play. Okay, yeah, so now I'm going to go on very fast to what quality assurance is. At the end of the day, quality assurance, okay, how you manage it is through a quality management system. What is a quality management system? It incorporates external documents, okay, and also mismatch of agreements, regulations, and internal corporate policies and procedures as well. Okay, so usually if you are in the QA arena, you are the management representative of the company. So what you need to do is you ensure that processes needed for the quality management system are established, implemented, and maintained, and report to the top management on the performance of the QMS and any need for improvement. Okay, I won't read through this, but I'd like to give you an example of Galderma's quality policy. Okay, every company should have a quality policy, and typically it looks like this. Okay, other than that, companies usually have a company quality management system, and in Galderma, this is what we use as well. Okay, what is the QMS for? It contains a lot of SOPs to make sure the company operates in a compliant manner. We also have a clear and concise responsibilities for employees so that we set expectations and allow accountability for actions. And typically when the auditors come to audit the system, this is the first thing we look at. Okay, now this is usually how a SOP looks like. This is already expired, so we have reviewed them, renewed them, and put them electronically on our system. I could show it to you because these are usually confidential documents as well, but we don't use these anymore. Now, very fast, I will go on to pharmacovigilance. Okay, so the word pharmacovigilance sounds very technical, but at the end of the day, when you Google the exact exact definition, what is it? It's the pharmacological science relating to the collection, detection, assessment, monitoring, and prevention of adverse effects with pharmaceutical products. Okay, so usually you report any medical adverse event or technical quality complaint within 3 working days. Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to end off very quickly in the next 5 minutes. Just want to show everybody some pictures of my journey, because I think this would be the best way to show everybody why you should try out a career in RA, QA, and PD. Okay, so when I was very young and energetic, 11 years ago, I graduated, okay, with a pharmacy degree in NUS. And my first job was with Polymedic, and my first business trip was actually to Mauritius, okay, with one of our company suppliers, okay. Then on, when I went to UPS, as I mentioned, because I meet with external and internal people, I did a lot of audits, I get audited, and I also went to training in various parts of the UPS world. So you can see here, I was very lucky, okay, to go everywhere. Also went to other countries like Japan, Australia, India as well. One other thing I'd like to highlight is usually when you're in this role, especially if you join a big pharma company, you get to train overseas. And I had the chance to go to the US to meet my boss, as well as go to the world-renowned UPS World Port in Louisville. Okay. Another thing I'd like to share, if you're in a local pharma company, usually you are individual contributor. Nobody reports to you. You only report to one person who's the boss. But if you're in a big pharmaceutical MNC, you see, if you're quality management, you typically have people reporting to you. And of course, you work on the leadership team and you also report to the boss. Okay? Yeah. So for Galderma wise, I did go to HQ. I went to Sweden, Switzerland, France. And you can see the people I mix with all suddenly, they have the European vibes, right? And at the same time, right in Singapore, we do have a lot of regional meetings. So I get to mix with people from all nationalities, all countries, and expose myself and train my EQ as well. Okay, another thing I'd like to share is typically, sometimes if you're in RA, you also have to do medical affairs. So what happened was my company asked if I could talk about products together with our Cetaphil ambassador in a shopping mall here to promote Cetaphil. Yeah, so sometimes you get this chance as well. We also had a lot of marketing events. And for example, here during a Skin Health Day 2 years ago, I did speak about Cetaphil as a medical affairs expert as well. Okay, just to end off, I shared with you, we have to network a lot with pharmaceutical societies and ministries. So if you are from the RA arena in Thailand, you will recognize this lady here. She's your head of cosmetics branch from Thailand FDA. And here, all your head of cosmetic branch when we had a regional meeting in Vientiane. Similarly, I was in Cambodia with all the head of health authorities in ASEAN as well. Okay, so just to end off, why did I choose a career in RA? Okay, firstly, I hope I can share with you that it's a very dynamic and exciting role. Okay, if you don't have RA, QA, PB in a company, the company will not thrive. Okay, you have many areas of exposure and it's not a stagnant industry. Today in COVID world, you realize that healthcare is truly one of those industries that is recession proof. Now, constant challenges, you have to problem solve constantly. If you are a person who likes authority and accountability, whole day you are approving and reviewing material. Okay, there's countless opportunities and extensive international exposure, and as long as you have the right mindset. So in conclusion, I always like to talk about this lady called Sheryl Sandberg, who's the CEO of Facebook. She says, get on a rocket ship. If you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, don't think so much, just get on it. When companies are growing quickly and having a lot of impact, careers will take care of themselves. When companies are not growing as quickly or missions don't matter as much, that is when stagnation and politics come in. All right? Yeah. So with that said, I end my presentation and I'm open to any questions at the end of today's meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Tracy, for your inspiring speech. I can see that there are a lot of opportunities and chances when you work in RA sessions. And also, we receive a lot of questions in the Q&A pause. So just feel free to ask questions because all the speakers will answer directly with the question that they can access the answer directly. And now we're gonna move to an intriguing session from Dr. Thong, who will share with us her experience in working in the global pharmaceutical industry. She has successfully performed her ability in various crucial positions of global organizations and also companies. And now she is the area director of AstraZeneca from Taiwan. So let's listen to her wonderful journey. So the stage is yours, Dr. Fong.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so thank you. I'm very honored today to be a part of the panel and among so many inspiring leaders in sharing my experience in the global pharmaceutical industry. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, excellent. So I have a biology and economics background from undergrad and also a PharmD degree from San Francisco. I didn't actually join the pharmaceutical industry until I had a chance to move back to Taiwan. Before then, I had a chance to work as a retail pharmacist and also a clinical pharmacist in the US. And when I came to back to Taiwan, I wanted to try pharmaceutical companies, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on why that is. But in the positions that I've held, I've been very lucky that I've experienced multiple roles within medical affairs. So I can say that I know what everybody does in medical affairs. So I started the career in pharmaceutical company as a medical scientific liaison. Many of you will know it as MSL. And also I moved on to a medical advisor with some people management roles. And I've joined Pfizer and also Roche, both as a medical affairs manager and also head of medical affairs, to start a medical affairs team in those companies in Taiwan. And then moved on to a regional medical manager role, responsible for lung cancer for Asia Pacific, before I joined as a medical director for AstraZeneca Taiwan. And now I'm an area medical director in Asia, covering 9 countries. Okay, if we move to the next one. So one of the things, the reason I chose pharmacy, and as many of you know, in growing up in an Asian family, your parents will probably want you to be a doctor. I started that path in biology in undergrad, but I soon realized that the friends that I have that went on to medical school didn't really know how medications work in patients. So knowing myself, there's no way I could prescribe if I didn't know what happens, right? And in the body, I think they have a semester or something in their whole entire 4 years, right? In the medical school on pharmacology. So I went to the career center at UCI where I went to undergrad, and I looked for the thickest book, right, that covers a career. And the thickest book by far was Pharmacist. And I think the advantage that we have, the unique position we have, is that any role that remotely involves patients using medicine, pharmacists have a role to play in it. And as many of you know, and as a clinical pharmacist, you often talk to patients and also as a retail pharmacist as well, and we can really make a huge impact in patients' lives. So today I've done both of that, and if we can go to the next slide, I'll share a little bit of why I went into the pharmaceutical industry. So one of the things that I've come to realize is that changing the mindset of doctors on how they see patients and how they treat diseases was really an attractive opportunity for me, as knowing that's what the role of MSL does, and that's why I went into the pharmaceutical industry. But as I joined the pharmaceutical industry and actually played my part as an MSL at the beginning, I realized that one person can really shape the entire clinical environment, affecting not just one patient, but potentially all patients within the country or all patients globally, depending on what your responsibilities are, what projects you're in, but you're affecting many, many patients with anything that you do. And of course, the impact on diseases, how it's managed globally, and also delivering the innovative medicines are very attractive as well as, and part of that is why I continued to stay in the pharmaceutical company. And another thing that I've come to realize is that it's a very cool thing that from R&D to clinical trials to country teams, all of us relay and collaborate with a common goal to deliver life-changing medicine to transform patient lives. So there was a sharing from one of the head of R&D in AstraZeneca one time as we were about to launch a medication onto the market. And in closing, on her last slide, she said she wanted to appreciate the teams in the country for taking over the baton and making sure patients benefit from the medications that we develop. So it's really, we collaborate quite closely, also looking at the clinical trials, how it can be designed so it can benefit patients at the end, and also which products to go into, what needs are there in patients, right, in the clinical setting. So all of that comes together, and we're really able to deliver life-changing medicines. And many of you, have heard of kind of a negative connotation of this industry being a profitable industry, right? So, but I think one thing to keep in mind is that sure, it is a profitable industry, but its success also depends on how valuable the products are for patients and how many of them will benefit from the innovation that we're able to create. So yes, it's for profit, but there shouldn't be a negative innotation for it, because what we're trying to do is to change patient care for the better. And of course, as Audrey have mentioned, there are many different opportunities in many different departments, and also shared by Tracy as well. With a pharmacy background, there are so many opportunities with the pharmaceutical industry that the opportunities, basically there's no end. And we're creating new ones every day, new roles every day. So it's more an opportunity looking at where your interests are, and in every of these functions, you're able to change patients' lives. Okay, if we can go to the next slide. So I'm just going to share a little bit of where AstraZeneca is today. And I want to focus on the green circle in the middle on the top. If you can see that we invested 6.1 billion in R&D with research last year. And looking at to the circle to the left of it, 24.4 was our total revenue. So basically we invested 25% of our earnings back into research. So that for innovation, I think it's where we are really rightly placed, where we can focus on and identify new ways of treating disease, and the ability to invest in those opportunities is quite critical. If we can move to the next slide. And also, as mentioned by previous speakers, it's really quite important that the company that you work in really matches your personal purpose and value. And I was able to do that with AstraZeneca. It's my favorite, not because I'm in it right now, but I really see that the values and the purpose AstraZeneca have really matches with what I have in my personal life. Definitely we push the boundaries of science to deliver life-changing medicine. In every one of our therapeutic areas, we aim to cure, and we only invest in compounds that can dramatically change how the disease is seen. We don't invest in anything else. we follow the science, we put patients first, but we also play to win, and we do the right thing, and we're entrepreneurial. So those are the 5 values that constantly gets feedback to every single one of our colleagues in all functions and all levels. And those are how we make decisions. So it's easy to work in a company that shares the same values, because it's very easy for you to be passionate about what you are assigned and what you're currently doing. So move to the next. Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit of my experiences in medical affairs and what each role does and the expectations. So I started as an MSL. It's a field medical role. The purpose of the role is to translate clinical research outcome into clinical practice. A lot of times we see publications that shows dramatic changes in disease outcomes, but we don't immediately see it in clinical practice. And it's because there are often a lot of mindset changes that needs to be made. And also there are often a lot of obstacles in the clinical setting that doesn't allow those to be implemented to translate into kind of patient benefit. So the field medical teams is responsible to identify those hurdles, identify those minds that needs to be changed, and find a way to do it, to remove those obstacles so patients can benefit from the innovation that we're delivering. And to do that, you need to establish the expectations that you have a peer-to-peer relationship with the key opinion leader, so you can discuss and challenge and talk about how the disease should be treated, and have that influence over key opinion leaders so that you can change mindsets. By changing the key opinion leaders, you can change the entire country's mindsets of how these patients should be treated. And the goal is for patients to have better clinical practice, for them to have better care. And of course, as experts, if you're able to sit with your KOLs from peer-to-peer level, you are also the internal expert for cross-functional teams to consult, and also to train them on scientific data, and also to provide them the KOL insights, or actually just provide them as a healthcare professional, how do we interpret those data. And then from an MSL, I was able to become a manager within medical affairs. So the main difference between a manager and most of those roles actually do also manage MSLs as well. So it's a people management role of a small team as well. Is that you become a strategic medical partner. So as an MSL, you're more on execution. You do it strategically. But for the entire brand or entire indication, what is the medical strategy that often sits on the shoulder of the manager who's in medical affairs? And also you need to remain an expert to the cross-functional teams. So, and also as a manager for MSLs, you need to ensure, of course, the strategic and impactful execution of medical plans. And most of our MSLs tend to be the younger generation. So how do you help them move into a career from potentially immediately from school, graduating from school? So that's also the difficulty that you will encounter in this role. You select the top KOLs that you need to have a peer and strategic relationship with the aim to support your team to change the clinical environment, again, for better patient care. And then after that, the next step is usually medical director. So medical director, you move away from therapeutic areas. You're nowhere close to as much an expert as those within focused on a particular therapeutic area, but you're a people manager. And the goal is to build a high-performing collaborative team with strategy and also high-quality outcomes. And the collaborative part is actually quite crucial within a big organization where there are multiple functions. And it's because if you work together well, you're very synergistic in what you can do and how much impact you can have. But if you don't work well, you can actually hinder each other's efforts, and it becomes kind of a negative relationship, and it no longer helps to benefit patients. Also, as a medical director, you're now looking at a higher level. So you need to think and plan ahead and prepare the team for the future, not just for what's coming up in indications and products, but also in the environment. For example, we're now looking to go into digital. Is the teams prepared for the digital world? Are they engaged in utilizing digital solutions? Are they exposed to these solutions? And also we're going into AI technology. Are we collaborating with kind of AI external partners to help expose the team to AI technology as well? And are we coming up with solutions utilizing AI? For example, are we looking to AI for real world evidence, right? There are many different ways, and you really need to help the team be prepared for the future so they don't get behind. And also they have an entrepreneurial mindset to lead the organization, as now you're part of the country leadership team. You're no longer just responsible for the medical team, but you're also responsible for all functions within that country. So then you really need to think entrepreneurial wise and be able to be part of the leadership team and make the right decisions for the organization. And then you go into above country roles. So I have been both in a therapeutic area above country role, and now as an Asia Medical Director in a more general, non-TA specific role. So very importantly is how you strategically support the country teams to address gaps and challenges, and how you identify common hurdles across countries and initiate projects to help them overcome. Communicate and obtain necessary resources, that's absolutely crucial. Getting the countries connected to above country and also to the global team so we can support the strategic country efforts, and also to create platforms for efficient and adequate communication between countries as well as global teams. And also in general among the countries, how do you raise the team capabilities and set standards and expectations that are clear? Okay, so that's my experience in the different roles in medical affairs. And there definitely are many different roles in medical affairs, as you can, in the medical department, as you can see. Some have been introduced by the previous speakers. That's fine, you can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, and the usual transformation that I get to see in any of these functions is that we tend to start, especially if the team is young, you're more reactive and supportive. And then you become really good at what you do, right? The execution into execution excellence. But then the expectation is you can be at least a scientific leader in any of these functions, able to be in a peer relationship with external and internal partners, and be able to complement in the evidence and confidence generation aspect. But ultimately, the teams can move into strategic partners. So with the leadership mindset, where you look at the long term and you plan for the long term, and you look at what is coming up, you're able to anticipate and interpret competitor trials and AZ trials, and in my current setting, and allow strategy to be implemented accordingly, and also to manage and develop, and also for the teams to be able to be seen as partners, and also ultimately to be movers and influencers, right? So ultimately you want to make sure that you are able to influence and move the environment so that patient impact can be obvious, and that you can really help patients with what you're doing. Of course, you have to do it in alignment with your medical strategy. If you don't focus, nothing can happen. But also to lead cross-functional teams as well, and to influence cross-functional teams. Ultimately, medical teams, to my belief, we should be able to influence commercial strategy as well. So ultimately, we can become the movers and influencers in the organization. Okay, we'll move to the next slide. So the critical success factors in my career thus far. One thing I really want to emphasize is the passion to change the clinical environment for better patient care. That's why I went into pharmacy, and I believe that's why many of you went into pharmacy as well. That passion really needs to be there so that you make the right decisions. And ultimately people see it, right? And they appreciate you for it. And also the strategic thinking, and to prioritize and deprioritize based on how impactful the outcomes can be, and align with strategy that will help you to be able to achieve more than others sometimes. And also the strong teamwork and deliver quality results. Don't ever doubt that what you're doing, people are not seeing. Intentionally or non-intentionally, people do notice, especially if the quality of whatever you do is consistent, people do notice. And always do what is right, and do not settle for less. If you're sure you're right, find a way to convince and find a way to influence. Speak your mind, but also very respectfully. Don't get in a shouting match with people, but definitely speak up, because if you don't speak up, they don't know what you're thinking, right? And you cannot fight for what is right. And be ambitious. We can do a lot more, and we can change a lot more people's lives than we believe we can. So I think that's my last slide. I want to move to the next one just to check. Yes. What science can do is what AstraZeneca says. That's my favorite slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fong, for experience having in different roles in medical affairs. These are so helpful. These are so helpful clues for our attendee to make the right decision and to achieve more in life. Let Now let's move to the next speaker from Philippines. His name is Brian Santos Posadas. He is a registered pharmacist in Philippines, graduated from Dr. Choski Tamayo Medical University. Um, he was an immediate past president of Young Pharmacist Group and a past president of Young Pharmacist Group Philippines. Currently, he's serving in Philippine Pharmacist Association as an assistant secretary. So please allow me to introduce Mr. Brian Santos Posadas to the stage. The stage is yours.
Wait, I'm having difficulty in sharing my slide. Okay, is my slides in? Clara, is it okay?
Yes, it's okay now.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so pleasant afternoon to everyone. I am Brian Posadas from the Philippines, and I'm the immediate past president of Asian Young Pharmacists Group. And thank you for the introduction. So basically, my exposure now is basically in the training and consultancy, and doing some trading business along the side. I am a pharmacist, and it's been a resource speaker for different educational activities for different drugstores and pharmaceutical companies in the Philippines. So basically, that's my what I do mostly is to really educate the pharmacists in the Philippines in the continuing professional education, not within the corners of the university, but it's more of a lifelong learning for the pharmacists to better their practice in the field. Now, just to share with you some of my, how it all started, I will go a step back a little. Pharmacy was not my first course. My first college course is actually electronics and communications engineering. It's quite far from where I am now. But basically, this is like those young kids would make some decisions in their lives that would not actually think about what path do they want to take. No? So I took electronics and communications engineering in 1998, but eventually I had to change course because I'm not enjoying electronics communications engineering. I stopped for a while and worked in a fast food chain. So I became a service crew of a fast food chain in the Big M where we prepare burgers. And I was thinking maybe I'm also in the quality assurance because I had to taste all the burgers before we release it to the counter. Just kidding. But basically, that's how I started my career working. I work in a fast food chain. And then eventually I transferred and enrolled in BS Pharmacy and graduated in 2005. So after that, after I finished my Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy, I did not immediately took my licensure exam. I actually went into trading, buying, and selling business because I am really entrepreneurial in mindset. No? So I love to do business. I love to do transactions. So I did not take my licensure exam immediately after I graduated pharmacy, but eventually I have to take the pharmacy licensure exam in 2006. And that is where I started my community pharmacy journey on the same year. I will try to connect my practice in the community pharmacy on how it became really actually a continuing education for pharmacists. And let me just share this. Community pharmacy was also not my first choice for my career. Actually, I initially considered working in a hospital as a clinical pharmacist, But the road led me to joining an innovative drugstore in the Philippines, which is a MedExpress drugstore. And a lot of my friends are asking me, sir, Brian, why did you go into community pharmacy? If what you really love to do in the first place was to be a clinical pharmacist, to be in the hospital, no? And I always say this, my pharmacy life journey started with one hello. So what do you mean by started with one hello? During my pharmacy licensure examination in 2006, I met someone. I met a lady and I said hello. And then we became friends. And so I heard that she is joining a community pharmacy. And that's why I changed all my plans because I want to pursue this girl. So because of that one hello, all of a sudden my life has changed. I became a community pharmacist. And that girl, no, which I followed in the track, was not actually my wife now. No, I met my wife. My wife is a regulatory affairs pharmacist of a company here in the Philippines, United Laboratories. But my pharmacy life journey changed paths along the way. So this is why I always say my pharmacy life journey started with one hello. I initially wanted to be a clinical pharmacist in the hospital, but I changed track just because I fell in love. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so basically when I started my pharmacy life journey as community pharmacist in October 2006, that's where I started loving the profession. That's where I started loving the field of practice in the community pharmacy. Well, basically because I worked in a fast food chain before. I'm in a service-oriented person. I love talking to people. I love serving them. I love giving them what they need. So I became a community pharmacist in October 2006 and became a branch supervisor January 2008, eventually became the branch manager 2009. And during the time of crisis for our company, I was pulled out from the store operations and eventually became a SAP business process developer and systems analyst mid-2010. I was assigned in a province in the Philippines in Pampanga where I worked crazy, like crazy. I worked from 6 a.m. until 12 midnight because there is a crisis for the company. And my mom would always tell me, why do you have to go through these things? Why do you not just apply for something else? Because during that time, my salary was not so high. No? So honestly, I felt like I'm underpaid during that time. But what I told my mom is it's not about the income that I would earn. It's more of what I can contribute to the company. And I consider this as part of my tuition fee in making sure that I actually learn how the drugstore operation happens from the start up to the end, up to the financial side. That's where my expertise was actually developed. Simultaneously, concurrently, during the time that I'm working as a SAP business process developer and system analyst, I work as an assistant professor in my university in Laguna from November 2010. I'm teaching marketing, communications, and other subjects. And also during that time, I became an area operations manager of the drugstore where I worked and became a key account manager for institutional pharmacy. Institutional pharmacy is basically a pharmacy where we manage different corporations who have employee benefits and they provide medication for their employees. So that's what I did during that time, January 2011. Until finally another company offered me a position as a pharmacy operations consultant in Health Delivery Systems Incorporated. But basically my role is to also manage different institutional pharmacy across the Philippines. And there, January 2012, I became the pharmacy department head, handling different accounts. And June 2013, I became the general manager, OIC general manager of a drugstore chain in Cebu, where I managed around 68 branches of a community drugstore. And eventually, I moved back into providing lectures, providing continuing professional education for pharmacists as I became one of the senior lecturers of Asia Pacific Institute for Medication Management Incorporated. And eventually, I started my own trading and consultancy services March 2015 until present. So this is my start of my journey. This is MedExpress Drugstore. This is where I started my career as a pharmacist. And this exact branch where I started my career. All frontliners here in this drugstore are pharmacists. During this time, way back when I started my career, 2006, This drugstore already do some breakthroughs, drive-through. We have drive-through services. We have call and deliver services. We have knowledge kiosk, patient medication profiling, pharmacy counseling services. This is why I said during this time, I saw the need to really make some innovations and make an impact in the community pharmacy. And that's where my love for the community pharmacy really grew, because I saw that it's really about time to give the best for the Filipinos. And I'm sure these services will eventually make an impact on the lives of our patients. So eventually, I was also transferred within that same company to St. Cabrini Hospital in Batangas, where we started the first outsourced hospital pharmacy business. We have an inpatient and outpatient. So basically, the outpatient department and the inpatient department of that hospital's, the pharmacy department of this hospital was outsourced to our group, the Argent Business Consultants, or the MedExpress drugstore. So that's where this started, the MedExpress model. And eventually, this is one of the OPD, outsourced OPDs in the Philippines, and one of the leading, is actually leading on that sector. No? But this is where we first started it in Batangas, and I was managing it. And this is my university where I also work as an assistant professor. I just handled like 3 subjects because of difficulty in the schedule and other workload that I have. So my universities were also where I worked as an assistant professor for College of Pharmacy. And my career actually led me to managing different corporations, pharmacy departments. San Miguel Corporation, one of the leading corporations in the Philippines, PLDT Globe, SPI Global, Teleperformance, Cytel, Nidec, Maynilad. So what are you doing with this company? Basically, they have health insurances. They provide free medicines to their employees. So I'm the one managing and making sure that they do have something to be given to their patients, monitor it as well, and prevent any abuse of medication even in this corporation. So basically, that's where we coined the term institutional pharmacy accounts. No? So it's within a corporation, and there will be a pharmacy inside that corporation. So after that, I managed a drugstore chain, which I mentioned earlier. It's 360 Pharmacy in Cebu. Now it has more than 100 branches. But during that time when I joined the company, it was also during that crisis time when I was asked to join that company, where if you are familiar, now during my stint in a drugstore chain, I will not forget that, because that's the time when Philippines was struck with Typhoon Haiyan and the earthquake in the Bohol. That's the time that I was actually managing this drugstore chain. And all those times, it was really difficult, no, in making these things happen during a transition to a new company. Now, aside from my career, one thing that has also changed my life and perspective in the practice of pharmacy is my pharmacy organization journey. I started with the Young Pharmacists Group Philippines. I'm one of the co-founder, the 3 of us, Eric Salenga, who's now with the World Health Organization, Sheldon Hagdon, who's now in Watson's, and I, who's also part of this co-founder, the first 3 who conceptualized the Young Pharmacists Group Philippines, coming from the idea of AYPG. And then it all evolved. I eventually became member of the PPHA Speakers Bureau. That's when I started providing continuing education. Eventually, we also helped in forming the AYPG, the Asian Young Pharmacists. And in 2014, I was asked to work on the passage of RA 10918, or Republic Act 10918, which basically revised our 50-year-old pharmacy law in the Philippines. So I became the legislative liaison officer and worked on the content and making the law approved and all the relative guidelines. I became Pharmacy Dots Initiative Master Trainer in 2014, became AYPG President in 2016, and became the Public Relations Officer of the Philippine Pharmacists Association in 2016, and currently I'm Assistant Secretary of the organization. So basically, this is how I evolved in the organization of pharmacy in the Philippines and in Asia. So currently, I'm into trading, consultancy, and training. So some people are asking, sir, why are you into trading business? Because really, I'm entrepreneurial by my personality. So I do some trading business related to the community pharmacy. and some consultancy services and training or providing continuing education for pharmacists in the Philippines. I travel across the different regions of the Philippines. I travel a lot, but only this time I'm becoming a vlogger because now it's online. So maybe soon I'll have my own YouTube channel. Just kidding. But anyway, that's how we educate the pharmacists. No, that's where I am, educating the pharmacists and making them level up to achieve the desires that they need. But my focus really would be is in the community pharmacy and in communication. So these are some of the companies that I'm currently have partnerships, and one of the resource person I work for the likes of Sanofi, Pfizer, AC Health, AstraZeneca, Upjohn. These are the pharmaceutical companies. RightMed, Unilab, MSD, Cathay Drug, Leo, Novartis. I became one of their resource person in different continuing education. And I am a consultant for AC Health, for also for Generica Drugstore. And also has been providing trainings for Mercury Drug, Southstar Drug, Watsons. These are the biggest chains in the Philippines, and also a consultant for M Clinica. And previously a consultant for M Clinica. And also I've been helping some different healthcare organizations, different doctor organizations and nurses organizations. I am giving some support with the Philippine Society of Gastroenterology, Philippine Society of Digestive Endoscopy and Hepatology Society of the Philippines, and the Philippine Nurses Association. So this is where I am currently involved at. But basically, it's more of educating, providing the platform, and helping them to be innovative in the delivery of their services and making some breakthroughs on how we can change things the way it is happening in the Philippines. Now, as I end my discussion very quickly, the path you need to choose is where you are good at. I would have thought of working in the industry, but I know I'm more of a service-oriented person. I love talking to people. So when I set my foot in the community pharmacy, I know I have to be an expert on it. Because for you to be a consultant, for you to be a trainer, you should have this level of expertise that not everyone could have. So you need to be good at something. You need to focus on it. So you need to be where you are good at. You should be enjoying what you are doing, basically, because otherwise, if you do not enjoy what you do, if you do not feel that this is really where you are, where your strength is, no, you might have some difficulty in sustaining and keeping it on track on this business. You see, even if you are doing some training and a lot of people are saying, sir, we love your job. You travel across the Philippines in different area. I told them it looks to be something exciting because you see a lot of different places in the Philippines, in your country and other countries. But honestly, it's not easy because even if I travel across the Philippines, I haven't seen any tourist spots in those areas. Usually I would travel in the morning, give a talk in the lunch during the day, and then go back home at night, and then travel again for the next day. That's how my life is before COVID now. So basically, you should just enjoy what you do. Enjoy traveling, enjoy what you are currently working on. Just give your best on it, no? And be where you know you can contribute to make things better. It's not about I just want to be there because it's something that could give me more money. You need to be in the path where you think you can contribute to make things better. That's making your own value in that path, in that field, no? And lastly, try where you are planted. Again, my pharmacy life, we have started with just one hello. Maybe I have started the community pharmacy practice because of love, but eventually it became love for the profession. So where you are planted, try where you are planted. Career is not all about money. It's about making an impact. Every single day, make an impact to the life of the community, of the person you serve, to the business where you are at, and make an impact so people would remember you and would trust you for what you deliver in the profession. So that's basically it. And thank you for the time.
Thanks, Brian, for your presentation. So the great story, which is the fusion between love and career. I hope one day somebody will say hello to me and totally change my life. And I also really love your message to all of us. It is true that we should follow what we love and not put too much care about money. And all the best wishes to your career and hope you get all the best luck. And here we go to the final story, which is about an academic career in pharmacy. We are delighted to introduce you with Dr. Mai Chun Guai, who had completely immersed himself in the passion of research and conveying in knowledge to the young generation. Now he is a senior lecturer in the International Medicine University of Malaysia, and he is also really active person in many famous organizations in his country, and now he is in the pharmacology trend new medicine special interest group from International Pharmaceutical Federation, and he also a former chairperson of Malaysian Pharmaceutical Society Young Pharmacy Chapter. So welcome to the stage, Dr. Mai Chun Guai.
Thank you, Clara. Can you guys see the slide?
Yeah, it's already here.
Okay, good. Okay. So thank you for the invitation. So I will continue the discussions by answering these very questions that a lot of people ask me. Why choose to be a lecturer when you can be a pharmacist? So I'm sure some of you may actually come across the same questions to people who are working in the academic field. So without further ado, let me start with these are the peoples that you may probably come across. For those of you from Philippines, you know Prof. Yolanda very well. She has a bachelor's in pharmacy and a master and PhD in pharmacy. Those of you from Malaysia will probably come across Prof. Muhammad Bakri. He has a PhD from the Malaysia and the PhDs from the Scotland, okay? And those of you from Japan, you probably have met Prof. Takuya, and those of you who are active in FIP also, you probably also met him. He also have a B.Pharms and PhD in the University of Tokyo from Japan. But you have realized that each and every one of them will have a different special interest. And that actually makes up into the next question is a lot of people who think that academic people are just teaching. But we kind of also have the opportunity to pick a specialties of your own, and you can actually pick what you enjoy doing the most, okay? So I started my journeys in 2005, so it's probably about the same times, I think some of you that in the panelists, and this is a very old photos, and back then there is a modules that I have to complete in my final years to complete the degree. It's a research methodology. And back then I was very unhappy with these modules, and I was telling myself that would be the last research project that I would do, and I would never come back to research in my whole life. That's why I would say is that sometimes don't say never to yourself. I think this is kind of karma to I will tell you why in the next few slides. But halfway through in the stories, I got diagnosed with this rhabdomyosarcoma, about 10 cm. For those of you who don't really familiar with this is actually a 10 cm benign tumor in a muscle, okay? So I have to go through surgery, and after surgeries, the doctors still doesn't know what's wrong with the tumor and why it started. And I was at the age of almost to put on chemotherapy, and luckily it was a benign cancer that I don't have to go through the chemotherapy. But that actually started to my curiosities about what is actually cancer, and how come we don't have the answers for cancer, and why the doctors are also not aware about the cause and what is the best treatment for these kind of diseases. So I got a very rare cancers and nobody knows what it is. And that is halfway through when I was studying as a pharmacy student. So upon graduated, and in Malaysia, we have to work with the government back then. So I was sent to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Sabah, Kota Kinabalu. I was working as a provisional registered pharmacist. At that time, it's like a houseman in Malaysia. So you basically been rotate to all the departments. I actually quite enjoy doing my clinical work, and I seen a lot of patients, and it was a wonderful times. But halfway through my career as a clinical pharmacist, I start to ask myself these questions: why some of the medication is not really working for my patients? despite this is the first lines of the treatment, this is the best medications that I can give it, and this is the most expensive, even the medications that we can given to the patient, it still doesn't work for a lot of my patients. And that actually triggers me to started to think about my alternative mode, career option, which means that I'm thinking to venture into research and development to answer these particular questions, why some of the medications is not exactly working for myself, even for the patient. So I then secured a positions in my former university where I graduated from, and they also give me a PhD scholarship, and that is where I started as a training lecturer. At the same time, I was given the scholarship to do my PhD. And as part of the PhD and also training lecturers, you are not only just involving in your own PhD projects, and we often also we have to organize activity. That's where actually I started to pick up some of the organizing skill, leadership skills, and also time management skill. So the first activities I was doing is that you can see as a familiar faces in the screen. That is actually Jack, which is one of our, that time, I think he's the young pharmacist chairperson. He was giving a talks, and at that is where I started to get in to know about the Young Pharmacy Society in my country, which is in Malaysia. And at the same time, it gave me also an opportunity to start to network with people from different disciplines. So it was an event that I was talking to a lot of students about career opportunity. And I was given the opportunity to also host students from different countries. So this is one of the events I was hosting the students from University of Strathclyde. So the things that you are as an academician, you're not only teaching for your own students, but a lot of time you also spend to teach, also to mentor students from different university. So you don't only confine to your own students on the same campus. That's the good things about being an academician. And you get a chance to actually work on other things like health screenings, community services. So as part of the lecturer, you sometimes don't see them doing this, but we often will be actually involved in this. Actually, I quite like doing that. That is also where I can get to practice some of my clinical knowledge. And the fun things about being an academician is you always get a chance to actually further and also improve yourselves. I was quite lucky in a way that I get to send to Strathclyde universities in Glasgow to complete part of my PhD. And subsequently, I secured another Travelers Award to go to Cambridge in 2015 and Liverpool in 2016. And I was in Italy in the same year. And subsequently, I was traveled to China last year in 2019 for a lot of different workshop and training. In the interest of times, I won't go into details about it. But the good things about being an academician is back then, the only place I went is within Malaysia. So I never stepped outside Malaysia. And being an academician, I got the chance to actually travel. And the good things being a young academician young in the definitions of less than 40 in the academic world, you get a lot of travel award and scholarship opportunity. And that's where you can actually learn at the same time, also enjoy your life. And that's the reasons why I also want to urge some of you, if you have the interest to join into academic, you should actually take the earlier step. Don't have to wait until the end of your career in other industry, then only you switch to academic. Although this is one of the way you can actually join an academic with your experience that will be useful in terms of your teaching. But at the same time, as a young academic, you actually have a lot of growing and also developing opportunity. And that is what happened to myself. And 2018, I got this travel award to go to FIP. That's where I actually know about FIP. And this particular travel award is also limited to people who is less than 35 years old. And that's why I say that this is as another examples that it gives to people who are actually young at the development of your career. And in this particular congress, I actually get to know people from FIP. That's why I was now actually quite an active person in FIP, especially in pharmacology. And fortunately, AYPG awarded me this AYPG Professional Excellence Award. The details I think you can actually find out from the AYPG. But I was quite fortunate to get this, and I think it's a recognition to what I have done in the past in the societies as well as my academic career. And I would urge those of you who are interested to contribute in AYPG or your national YPG, please contact your nationals, regionals, young pharmacists, because there's actually a lot of opportunity for you to learn and a lot of chances to mingles and network as well. And last year, I got this chartered scientist status from the UK, and it's kind of a recognition for my scientific development. And my line of work is actually on cancer research. That's also drive me to actually to do even better. And because with the chartered scientist status, I now can actually compete with a lot of international grant opportunities. As a lecturer, you a lot of time also involved in actually communications with the public. So we don't just teach our curriculums, but we also have the obligations to also communicate and also educate and raise awareness. So I was given the opportunity to actually appear in radios and newspapers. And end of this year, I think I will also start appearing in one of the TV shows. And for you, those of you in Malaysia, you will probably get a chance to actually have a look at that. So I thought of actually go through some of this because some of you may have the questions to ask. If I'm interested to start an academic career, where do I start and things like that. Of course, most of the time you have to have a postgraduate degree, and because you are going to teach people in the degree institution, your minimum criteria is you must have a master's. But before you pick a postgraduate degree, you must pick a disciplines that you like. That if you like clinicals, you go into the clinicals. If you like research and development in formulations, you go into formulations. Like my line of work is actually drug discoveries and also cancer biology. After that, you pick a postgraduate study, and based on your financials, you have to plan a bit of your financial, unfortunately. Either it's a part-time or a full-time. Are you going to do it a face-to-face or a distant learning? Are you going to do it in locally or overseas? So this where your financial and your time will come in. A lot of people, because of their financial commitment, they may actually choose to do a part-time. Then you may choose a distance learnings as well. And to what degrees and what kind of levels you want to do, that's where you need to ask yourself. You can actually choose to do a coursework, which can be a postgraduate diploma, which means that you just go into a little bit, I want to know some things about this particular discipline. Then you just go into a postgraduate diploma. If you want to finish it up with a research a project from your postgraduate diploma, usually you will be given at least a master levels of a graduate when you graduate with a master degree. And similarly, you can also choose to do a research degree. What I did was I was doing a full research degree in master and PhD. The good things about a coursework is it is actually a structured program, and you tend to be graduate on time. But most of the time, you may not have enough exposure in terms of research skill. So if you plan to go into academic, most of the time, a coursework may not be enough, because upon graduate from, if you want to go into academic, research is one of the biggest important component. You do have to have a substantial research skill for you to be a principal investigator in the future. But when you choose a research degree, you get very in-depth in terms of research training, and you also get a direct mentorship. But the problem is you have to be very self-disciplined, because a lot of times, if you don't manage your time very well, you tend to drag your research degree. And at the end, you may take forever to graduate from your coursework, and you probably get very fatigued. Or if you have some other problems come into your life, you may not graduate on time and things like that. So first, you have to choose your research degree. After that, you need to choose a mentor carefully. Like it or not, this is in academic, you do need someone to walk you the path. That's why at the very beginning, the first slide, I show you some of the faces that you may actually come across. And in your own setting, you may come across some of the professors that you can actually talk to better. I have a very good mentor because the pictures I show here is actually Professor Leong. He actually guided me not only during my PhD time, as well as after PhD for the past 10 years, as a young, new faculty members. He also gave me a lot of opportunities and training as well as put me in touch in a lot of the big project. So that's where your academic careers can actually grow with a good mentor. And subsequently, you do have to choose your career track. In academic, in short, we actually divided into 3 particular tracks. You can be focused in research, which is something similar to myself. I have most of my time actually spent in the research projects, and my teachings is actually considered rather minimum compared to my colleague. And I have a career to move up until to become a professor. So this is basically a simple career chart that you can actually follow. If you do like to go into teachings more than research, research is playing a smaller component. You like into teaching curriculums and how do you teach better and design a curriculum for better training purposes, then you can go into a teaching fellow, that kind of a career track. And you can be an academic management a person who manage the university. But to kickstart of your career, you'll notice that you do need a PhD as a minimum entry requirement. So the reward is very good in terms of your income in consultancy. Sometimes you get extra benefits from the various consultancy project that you work with in the industry. And you get a lot of satisfactions when your students actually graduates and do very well in their careers. And after that, what is it that you need to actually maintain a very successful career? I think the key important thing is you should never stop learning. Academic is a path that fortunately enough that you get paid to learn every day. Every day you get to see the new things, the latest development, and you get to try your wild ideas. Like today, if I have ideas, I think a particular pathway may be useful in killing cancer, I may actually go into my lab and then just test it out. And this is the good things about academic is there is no right or wrong, and you can always actually test and learn and pick up new skills and as you go, as your time. And the good thing is you can actually work until you don't feel like working. It can be up to 70, 80 years old. And if you are passionate in a particular discipline, you can still continue working. Most of the time, your experience and your knowledge is still very relevant to the discipline. And last, I think the most important skills that you need as an academic person is you have to work together with other people from different disciplines. And I fortunately, because of my involvement in the Young Pharmacists group, also in AYPG as well as in FIP, I get to know a lot of people from different disciplines, whether in pharmacy or not outside pharmacy. And these people actually give me a lot of different ideas and also collaborations opportunity. And for that, actually, that built into my careers, and that helped me to go into advance in my career. So I think this is the last, and I'll be happy to take any questions later if there's any. So over to you, Clara.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mike. Your career paths were really impressive and inspired me a lot because I also really interested in this field, and I think that it would help me a lot in orienting me in the future. So all the best luck to you, and hope you will be more successful in the future.
Thanks, Kara.
Okay, so thank you everyone for coming with us along, and special thanks to all the speakers. And now I really glad to announce that we have received a lot of questions, and all the speakers have engaged to answer directly in the question and answer pause. However, we will continue receive the question. So right now we already have some interesting questions and ask for our speaker to answer directly. The first question is that how should the undergraduates prepare themselves before graduation? Like what kind of question should undergraduates ask to determine their interest and their their future or their personal value? And for this question, I'd like to ask Andre. Andres, please answer the question, and thank you.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you for the question as well. I think this is very important for us, especially for pharmacy students or young pharmacists, to know the value that they have. And of course, to know the value, it's not something that is just simple, just to think and then, oh, this is my value. No, not like really like that. But it's along with the journey of our life. And also, I would really suggest you to be active in organizations, whether you are pharmacy students or you are young pharmacists. Please, when you are in organization, you will face a lot of challenge, a lot of timeline, a lot of projects. Then you will learn to know more about you, to know what you want, to know what you want to do. And from there, then you can really know what you want to do next. And also, it's very important for you, which kind of career do you want to take. It's also to get more information through like information like this, like the 3 webinars that we have, or also talk or discuss with your alumni or with your seniors, so you can get more information about that. And it's also very important during your study to get internship, so then you can get to know directly what are the things that are available, what you have to face and stuff like that. But most importantly, that I want to emphasize, because I also see many questions, is about whether which one, what do you have to prepare, how, what is important and stuff like that. I really would like to emphasize the most important thing is to, just like in the last few slides, Mai also mentioned that, never stop learning. It's always the key important thing to be able to learn new things. Because again, even though you choose industry, for example, and then you take one department, for example, you take regulatory or medical, still, it doesn't mean that in the next few years you're going to stay there, because there will also be challenges. So when you have challenges, you have to be able to answer the challenge. That's how you grow. And that means that you need to learn new things. And I think what is more important for me, it's not about having more degrees, but always having an open-minded and a thirst to know and a hunger to know and learn new things. And that will be the most important basic foundation, whichever career you take. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Audrey, for such an impressive and informative answer. Here we just got another question. As the new graduated student, we may face countless challenges. How to keep yourself motivated all the time? Can you suggest some tips to encourage yourself to move forward? So please, I'll give this opportunity to Dr. Mai. So, yeah.
Hi. Can you repeat the questions because I didn't really hear it clearly?
Okay. The question is: as a new graduated student, we may face countless challenges. How to keep yourself motivated all the time? And can you suggest some tips to encourage yourself to move forward?
Thank you for the questions. I think some of you hear my stories will know that my undergraduate progress was not exactly very smooth. In fact, was very bumpy with diagnosis with the cancers, and in the middle of the course, some more, and you don't know the fate that whether you will be able to complete a degree. And knowing that, I think I also have to share with you that I wasn't the most brilliant students in the class as well. So I do have struggles in terms of studying as well in the past. But what makes me able to graduate at the end of the day, and I also graduate with first class honors even despite the bumpy road, is because I have a group of very close friends who supported me during my study. So you do need to have a very good peer support during the study that actually make you to overcome your obstacles. Of course, every one of you will have different obstacles. I may not be able to speak on your problems, but at least for myself, I able to walk through that path because of the peer support. And the more importantly is the university support, because of me going through the medical conditions that I has, the university actually give me quite a lot of supports in terms of because I was on crutches, so I have to take more time to sit for my practical exams and things like that, because I need to move from one place to another. And that time the university actually helped me to actually open all the doors, so that when I move it was easier for me to move. So you can actually speak to the peoples in the university to actually make sure that what kind of support you need. So don't feel shy to actually reach out. I think that's one of the important things that you need to remember. Okay. Long, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fong, for this informative answer. So let me address the same question to Dr. Fong. Do you have any idea on this question? Dr.
Sorry,
Fong?
can you repeat the question again as well? I didn't hear the second
Okay.
time either.
Okay, let me repeat this for you. As a new graduate student, they may face countless challenges. So how to keep, do you think how to keep themselves motivated all the time? Can you suggest some tip to encourage themselves to move forward?
Okay. I think as many speakers have mentioned in their presentations, I think knowing where your passion is and what your values are very important. So definitely I don't encourage you just aiming for a particular title or a particular role. Really look into what you can accomplish in those roles and then identify how that affects or how that matches your passion, right? So you need to identify a passion. For me, it was always been making a difference in patients' lives. So so you can shape the role you're in into matching what you're passionate about and to do that really well. Of course, it needs to be relatively related to what you're doing, so you can shape it accordingly. But never do something that is not aligned with your passion, because once you do that, you will lose the motivation to move forward and to do better. So identify what matters to you and then shape your roles that way. That's kind of my advice. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Fong. I really find like a lot of tips to motivate myself after seeing all the answer from all of you. And the question is to Brian. Because we can see that you have a long story to go. You have a lot of changing position from this study to another study. So the question is like, it is too late to changing your position from this this part to another part. And is there any like benefits to change from many fields like that? Okay, that's the question.
Okay. Actually, in my practice as a pharmacist, when I started working as a pharmacist, the track is basically the same. No, before my pharmacy, that was a different track from electronics communications engineering going to the pharmacy. That's a totally different track. But when I started working in the pharmacy, the alignment is more of into community patient service, aligning in the dispensing area. So basically, the track is one, going to the direction of really improving the services of pharmacists in the community and in serving patients. Now, in doing so, no, there will be progressions in your career from one position going to another, but it never you never no no will never go off track if your intent is really to serve the patients in the community, making a difference in the community. So basically, I may have different positions. I may have served a lot of different organizations, but the track is still the same. Serving the patients in the community, communicating care to the patients, communicating the knowledge about pharmaceutical products. That was the track ever since. But it just so happened that it moved from one place to another, but it's really in the service area to the pharmacists.
Okay, thank you a lot. And the final, before we come to the final question, I'd like to invite all the audience to accept the poll so that you will answer many questions from us. And then we come to the final question to Tracy. The question is there perhaps any advice for undergraduate students for their career path preparation? What will help them to get an increased job opportunities?
So maybe I just speak from my perspective. There are many ways you can do so, but in my opinion, number one, throughout your career, you should always be driven and motivated to learn. So for example, for myself, internally, I always ask my managers whether I could apply for example, a lead auditor training program to get myself certified as an ISO lead auditor. Typically, if you work for a good company and you have a good manager, my manager was actually a commercial GM, general manager, and the request that you make actually contributes to business, because if I had a lead auditor certification, the chance of me being more certified and more credible to the external auditor is higher. Okay, so obviously with that, I was taking the training plus working at the same time. So you need to be able to have that kind of energy plus be able to time manage as well. It's not easy. So I also speak on behalf of many of the speakers here because I believe they were constantly developing themselves at the same time and working. Yeah. So you need to be able to have that kind of drive. Yeah. So that's one way you can actually improve your employability, or at least make sure that you are more employable throughout the training and throughout your work as well. I think another point to make also is try to, as you progress on to a next job, you know, you probably have made good networks within your company, and don't burn any bridges, because with your colleagues or with your bosses in your present company, you could use them as references for your next role. And typically good colleagues, good bosses, and you, if you were a good employee as well, they will definitely stand for you and recommend you as well in your next role, in your next job. Yeah, so reach out to them and ask if they can be your reference and your referral. And I'm sure if you made a good impression in your company, you would be able to use them, and you know, your new boss or new manager would use that as a justification on why they should hire you. Yeah, that is my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. This is our, here we have another most interesting question from our audience. It will be addressed to our speaker. The question is that will our job will be replaced by the robot? So the first point, let me give the floor to Brian. Yeah, Brian.
Okay.
Okay.
If I understand correctly, the question is, can our jobs be replaced by robots?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. When you talk about robotics, of course, there will be some portions of your role that can be replaced by the robots. That's why you don't have and you should not stop on innovating. But especially in my setting, which is in the community and in training and consultation, you cannot be replaced by robots, because your experience, your patient interaction is what would set you apart. The humanistic touch of a pharmacist is what would set it apart from what the robots can do. They can put some intelligence in the robots, but they cannot mimic or duplicate the human touch of pharmacists when we take care of patients, and that would make us unique and will not be replaced by robots. That's it. Thank you. Long.
Thank you, Brian. So let's address this question, the same question to Dr. Fong. Dr. Fong.
Okay.
please.
It's definitely a very interesting question. I think definitely some of our jobs will be replaced by robots, but I think we need to see it as a more positive aspect of it, right? So the tedious things, the paperwork, all of that, we really want it to be replaced by robots, right? So we can do what we want to do and not have to deal with these type of things, right? And also, for even for patient education, there should be something that that patient can get basic information. So we deal with the most difficult one, and we can spend sufficient time where we are most needed, right? So I actually quite welcome some of our work to be replaced by robots. There are so many things we can do, and there are so many people's lives we can touch. And I think the robot, the AI aspect will help us do more of that. And also, if I can just address an earlier question on how to stay motivated, I think even with the robot question, right? We need to make sure everything we do, you have an impact, and an impact that you cannot be replaced by a robot, right? So once you see the impact, it motivates you, because then you're making a difference, and that helps us drive forward.
I think I will add to the answer. I agree with what Brian and Dr. Fong has mentioned. So basically, yes, it's good to have robot to help and to ease our job, but not to be replaced. I don't think that our position as industrial pharmacists, and I believe also as academic pharmacists, should be replaced by robot. Why? Because the most important thing is we have value. While robot doesn't have value, they just do whatever we told them to do. So by that, that's how we need to build and to know who we are. So then, whatever happening, even though everything becomes more modern, our position will not be challenged by robot, I think. But most importantly, we are the one that will always lead everything. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Audrey, because just imagine that if you go to your pharmacy lectures hall and you're waiting for the robot to teach you, would you rather to have your lecturers to be a robot or a living person to talking to you? That is my first question. The second part is, I don't think it will be totally replaced by the robot. It's because most of the time in research is we have to ask the questions. You have to think about your research question, you have to think about your hypothesis, and you have to plan the experiments. What the robots can help you to do is they probably have able to do the machine learning part and the deep learning part for you to come up with different probability, and also the fasten the process. We use a lot of AI in our drug discovery, the gene analysis and things like that. That one definitely it is meant to be replaced, because you can't read every single genes. There were few millions and thousands of row of Excel sheet. You can't read that. And that one AI help us to do. But which gene for you to do the next investigation, and which drug will be the one to be designed for the next investigations, all this, you still need the humans. And that's, in fact, your brain as a pharmacist is actually the important one to actually determine the next question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mike. So, Tracy, are you with us? We would love to hear from you on this question.
Yeah, so with regards to the question on robots, from the regulatory perspective, I'd like to share that simple things not simple, actually, foundational regulatory affairs responsibilities, like talking to health authorities. You can't get a robot to do that, because there are a lot of intricacies when it comes to discussing a product approval that you cannot discuss using a robot, unless the health authority is a robot. So then you get a robot to talk to a robot. But the health authority is a living person, so you will need a living person to speak face to face to justify to the health authority why a product should be put on the market. Aside from that, audits, right? Can you get a robot to audit your company? To be fair, I don't know, because I've never gone through this. So I would say no. But you never know. Maybe if you do a desktop audit or computer audit, if it's a yes and no question, yes, a robot can do that. But more often than not, in audits, there are so many gray areas that a computer or a robot, it's not a questionnaire that you can't answer. Last but not least, in the pharmacovigilance arena, when you are filing a adverse event due to a product issue, you know, a person having a rash or a person reacting negatively to eating or administering a product, do you think a robot can ask questions that address the issue at hand? You know, you have to ask questions with relation to the reaction that the consumer is having. I highly doubt a robot can do so. So things like counseling or asking direct questions on the reaction a consumer has to a product, for now, I doubt a robot can do that. Yeah, so I believe that certain things can be replaced by a robot, but in what I specialize in for now, not so soon, but in the near future, maybe. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for all the answer from our speakers. Personally, I think that there are pros and cons when robots come into our majors. However, it would be really beneficial for some stuff that we need with a really hard workload. And just one reminder, I want to ask of you to complete the polls for us and also complete the survey so that you can receive the certificate from our webinar. And yeah, just try to assess the poll right now because we will need it for develop the next webinar. And for all the question in the chat spot, in the Q&A, in the Q&A post, all the speakers will try to assess and answer it privately. And you can also watch all the questions from that and also the answer from the speakers. Because we also have time to complete the polls and also complete the survey, so I will promote one more question, and this I promise it will be the last. Yeah, I will take a look at all the questions. Actually, there is one question that a lot of people like in the Q&A post. It is about the outbreak of COVID-19. And I think that the speakers will have their own opinion about this problem, since a lot of people, a lot of graduate students get trouble because they cannot find job and also cannot gain experiences from the respective fields because of COVID-19. So what is the solution for this? And I will directly recommend Brian to answer the question first.
Sorry, I missed the question. Sorry.
I can repeat that. It due to the outbreak of COVID-19, a lot of students right now have trouble in gaining experiences or internship, and also some graduate students cannot find a job. What is the solution for that, and how can they get some benefits from this outbreak? That's the question.
Okay, that's a difficult question. How can they get internship? I think that's something that they need to arrange with different institutions. But for now, I think it would not be really wise to do an internship in the hospital given the situation of this pandemic. They may explore still pushing through with their internship in other fields of practice of the pharmacy, especially of how diverse the field of practice is. So in the meantime, while they are still waiting for the situation to be better, it could also help for them to attend online educations, online seminars, as they make it as an avenue for them to update their knowledge, getting information from other people and getting updated through online platforms. That's the most that we can do at this time. And because of this current COVID situation, we really cannot do any face-to-face learning. So they could opt to do some online educations, and it could help them. Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. And
sorry, Clara, if I may add very quickly, maybe they could also use this time to do some strength, weakness, opportunity, threat analysis for themselves. Because as a person, it's not just a company who would do SWOT analysis. They should do that for themselves. If you are a fresh graduate, do a SWOT analysis. What's your strength? Which field you are fit? And which field do you think in the practice of pharmacy would you find the passion to pursue? So during this time, use it to assess yourself. And I quit. Thank you.
Yeah, so how about Tracy? What's your idea about this? How can students improve their knowledge during this outbreak?
Attend more AYPG and MIMS webinars. That's the best. Yeah. So I mean, AYPG and MIMS are going to have many more upcoming webinars, right? So clearly, this is one avenue. I'm sure the 300 over people who attended this today have found this interesting as well as knowledge inspiring. So that's one avenue. I would say other than that, there are so many, not say so many, but I do see job opportunities coming up with headhunters, even though we are in the midst of COVID, especially in the industry that is not stagnating. Healthcare is still recession proof. So open up your opportunities, go to LinkedIn, especially for students. Headhunters not going to come your way that much because you don't have that experience. Reach out to headhunters instead. If you keep reaching out, you will always be on their radar. Yeah, so for students, I would say you are lacking the experience. Don't expect headhunters to come to you. You should go to them. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, JC. For all haven't finished their survey yet, just one more reminder that if you complete this survey, you will receive the certificate from our webinar to prove that you have attended our webinar during this pandemic. And the certificate will be sent out within 2 weeks after the session for participants who attend for at least 60 minutes. And well, we perfectly successfully hosting this webinar right now. So see you in the next AYPG forum on 5th of September with many other interesting and special things and knowledge and speakers also. And feel free to say goodbye in the chat box